Hi, everybody. Today, our guest is Anya Krebs. Anya has been involved in the copier industry since 2007. After so many years of seeing businesses, nonprofits, churches, startup companies, and other verticals being taken advantage of, she knew she had to create a place where people could go get help. An office-based copier was created. And of course, Anya is a great friend and a superhuman being. Hi, Anya. Welcome to our Tech Podcast.
Dave, thanks for having me. After you say it out loud, I forget that I've been actually in the industry for that long. You know, is my temporary job before I was going to figure out what life was going to look like.
And you started when you were 16. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So thanks for having me on, Dave.
Well, we are proud to have you on. It's really fun. Of course, what we want to do is introduce the world to office-based copiers, and you in particular. And then we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of copiers, the technology behind it, and then just, have you give somebody a tip or one thing that you could tell people that they could use in this technology right away. So let's start with, what do you think the most important feature is to consider when selecting a new copier for a business?
Sure. I think there's a couple of different sides of it, right? Obviously, one is the technology piece and making sure it has all the features and what it is that you need. The good news is that most manufacturers do a great job, right? As far as what they provide and what the equipment can do and connect with. Right. One of my most important things that you should always look at is the contract. And that's what's going to lock you in for the next 3 to 5 years. So, when you put that into consideration and who you're leasing with and how you're leasing, that's going to determine if you do have a problem with equipment, what it is that you can do from that. So, for instance, in our contracts are much different than what the different service level agreements or SLAs that other copier companies run by. But for us, if we have a provider and they're not properly servicing the equipment, we cancel the contract and we find another provider, or we have options. If you're stuck in a contract for 5 years and your services inside of a lease, well, you can't get out of the lease, you can't get out of the service, and you're stuck even if you're unhappy. So I don't think people put a lot of emphasis on the contract, and that is really what you should keep an eye on. Another thing that we see a lot of is that there's annual increases in the contract that will increase anywhere from 10, and now we're seeing up to 20% a year. So if you're in a 5-year contract, that increases every single month, which is a lot of expenses for people keeping that high expense. Yeah. I
bet people get into contracts and after a couple of years, they don't even look at them anymore.
They don't even look at them, and it's not what they do, right? And then when we do take a look at it, and you can kind of show them, we just like to educate on what to negotiate before you get into a contract. And our website has all of those negotiation questions.
That's officespacecopier.com, right?
Officespacecopier.com. That's right.
You're very similar to our business and what we do with people in their contracts. It's very similar in the telecom industry. I know that you're a huge advocate for nonprofit organizations. How have you helped these kinds of entities over the years? Give us some stories.
Sure. Well, really based on the information that we were just talking about, right? With the increased contract.
Right.
If you start off at $500 a month, well, then next year it's $550 a month. And then, it keeps increasing. Well, nonprofits are trying to find additional monies that they can put towards projects, which makes them more efficient, which makes them more profitable, or they can, increase their awareness and their reach to do all the good stuff, right? Yeah. Like we're just the copiers, you and I, we provide the tools for them to be better, but that's just money that's going in for overhead expenses. So if we can help them decrease their cost and their monthly costs, which frees up monies to do other projects that have been on their list for the last 12 months, I mean, that's awesome because that helps push them and move them forward. And now they're in a contract. The one thing that I love about the gift of people and their gift of giving, we should never as people donate used old copiers to nonprofits.
Say that again?
Never happen. Don't donate used equipment to nonprofits.
Really?
They're incredibly expensive. How you service them and the parts and costs are more expensive than getting new equipment because the costs are less. So it's nice that you're receiving the donation, but the actual cost of maintaining it and running it is double sometimes the cost of actually getting a newer contract that has locked in pricing. And then you actually don't have to pay to get the equipment disposed of because you can't get it fixed from the donation.
Wow.
It causes a lot of heartache and headache for nonprofits, and people do that as a gift for giving, but it actually is hurtful to the nonprofits.
So there's an example of the intention is great, but the outcome is not what you want. So
no, it's
great
not.
Tip.
Yeah.
For all you nonprofits out there, you should definitely take a look and talk to Anya about that situation. That sounds really important. Which leads me, nice segue, to kind of the final thing. What is the one thing, and maybe this is it, that you would tell a prospective buyer or client about the industry that they didn't know or that they could use to help them make the right technology solution in your world?
Sure. I would think, that's kind of outside of the contracts, and a couple of other things to make sure that you keep an eye on is, what's the tenure of the company, right? And not necessarily the size as far as how large a company is. Because sometimes, we see a lot of people that when they choose a customer based on how big the, vendor is, it's slower response times. You get automatic reply emails with ticket numbers, right? There really is something to say about when you call somebody and they answer their phone, right? It's incredibly powerful in how you can handle challenges. And you want your company to know that they're going to take care of you on the lease side, the service side, and if there's issues, how are they going to take care of you? And I think that's incredibly important. People get too locked up about how big a company is, or we're going with them because they're bigger, right? Bigger isn't better. It's making sure that you have a relationship. How are they with replying to you? And that's the part of how business gets done, and making sure that you're taken care of.
Well, you know what? We teach that a lot. Like that is like what we preach all the time.
Yeah.
So you, like us, and like many of our listeners, are advocates for your clients and can teach them about your industry, which maybe most people don't know these tricks and trades. So that is really great information. If you all want to get a hold of Anya, she is on LinkedIn at Anya Krebs, right, Anya?
Yep, that's right. Anya Krebs is on
that's right.
LinkedIn.
Anya Krebs.
Yes.
And, of course, officespacecopier.com.
Yep.
And I recommend that you all reach out and talk to Anya. Anya, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. We really appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it.
Thank you.